Well, so, in case you haven't noticed, Thanksgiving is over. And now, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. You know the song. It's the most wonderful time of the year with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you to be of good cheer. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow, and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. People telling you to be of good cheer. Well, I think we want to be of good cheer, right? Sometimes in this time of year, it's easy to get sentimental. All these feelings well up in us, and we find ourselves perhaps humming along with Elvis Presley, longing for, wishing that every day could be like Christmas, where we could hear a choir singing sweetly somewhere, perhaps even here at St. John's. And a glow will fill our hearts, and we'll be at peace in the world, with the world. Why can't every day be like Christmas? Why can't that feeling go on endlessly? For if every day could be just like Christmas, what a wonderful world this would be. We see the ads on TV or on our computers of these beautiful people, harmonious families gathering together in beautiful houses, perfectly decorated, and the children all perfectly behaved. And we want that. Sometimes we get nostalgic and we remember the days long ago when we were children or when our children were young, how they would come down the stairs Christmas morning, opening those gifts with pure delight, so filled with wonder, anticipation, excitement. Everybody, of course, perfectly well-dressed, not wearing their ratty old pajamas, singing carols in perfect harmony, and coming together for the Christmas services, all one big happy crowd. We want that. We want that. And we will shop till we drop to get it. Black Friday, Black Saturday. According to my calculations, there are only 23 shopping days left till Christmas. Not that you should feel panicked about that. But you know, it seems like maybe if we could just do enough shopping, if we could just get all those Christmas gifts together, then maybe the impossible could happen. Maybe there would be peace on earth and goodwill to all. I want that. Maybe you want that too. And yet, if you know your history, you know we've been disappointed so many times. So many times by failed peace treaties. Perhaps you remember hearing about the war to end all wars. How many wars have we had since then? The League of Nations began with such promise, such hope, and that doesn't exist anymore. We look across our country and see divisions. Even within our own towns, we find divisions. And if we dare to look closer to home, we see fractured relationships even within our own homes and families. We want those beautiful scenes, but they're awfully hard to get. Sometimes, despite all of our efforts, things don't turn out so well. There is arguing. People can't be with us whom we'd hoped they could, either because of travel issues or because they've moved on to the next realm. And all those gatherings, have you noticed they leave a lot to clean up for afterward? And then once you finally get everything all cleaned up, then the credit card bills start rolling in. And that wonderful glow that we were hoping for seems to dissipate. Well, perhaps it's small comfort to know that in Isaiah's time, things were not so great either. There was the threat of war all around. the threat that the enemy was coming and would take over everything. And so way back then, the king turned to the prophet Isaiah, and Isaiah gave the king a wonderful gift. Isaiah gave him a vision of all the people streaming to God up on top of Mount Zion. All the people, the Jews, the Gentiles, the people who argue, the people who are just plain annoying, all the people streaming up to God. And are they going there because somebody did some great shopping and found the perfect gifts? No. They're going there because that is where God is. God is there listening to every single person who makes their way up to that mountaintop. God listens, and then God makes decisions. Isaiah tells us God's decision is that all the people shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. We hear this passage from Isaiah every Advent. But I have to admit that it wasn't until maybe a few years ago that as I was looking at this passage more closely, something struck me, something caught my eye. And it was the word plowshare. And I thought to myself, I know what a plow is. What's a plowshare? So I did some digging. And I found out what a plowshare is, and I think we've got a picture we can show you, which I hope you can see on the screen. There we go, all nicely labeled for us. We've got the hitch that attaches on the far left, and then the beam. The tall, long part of the plow is the mold board. And then down below is the share. It's actually just a narrow strip along the bottom of the plow that helps cut into the soil. And the coulter also cuts into the soil. But the share is, the plowshare is just the bottom part of the mold board, just a narrow strip like this, made out of metal, which is a lot like a sword. And so here God is saying, take your swords and attach them to plows. That's a better use of your swords. God also talks about pruning hooks, which we have another picture for. Just in case you're not sure what a pruning hook looks like, they can be all kinds of shapes, it turns out. But can you picture taking a spear and just bending it and turning it into a pruning hook? A pruning hook which is used to prune branches. A much better use than stabbing somebody with a spear. This vision, we can make those slides go away now. This vision from Isaiah is a powerful one. This is a vision far bigger than anything we could buy on Black Friday. Because in this vision, God is saying there's no more need for weapons in God's world. Rather than fighting, we will focus on feeding. Not fighting, but feeding. God calls us to bring our community together by growing food and by gathering around the table for meals together. This is a vision of global transformation. And you and I can be part of that transformation as we gather around this communion table, enjoying bread and the fruit of the vine together. And so, as Advent begins, let us prepare to make room for Jesus in our hearts once again. Let us dare to be hopeful on a global scale. May our hearts be filled with hopeful joy. Amen.